अज़ान हो रही है, मुअज़्ज़िन बुला।
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. What I would ask everybody first, close your eyes, completely close your eyes and imagine that you can see Khana Kaaba in your head. Imagine the image of Khana Kaaba in your head. And I'm sure everybody would be able to do that. Now imagine the Roza Mubarak, Medina Sharif. Now in your heart, read the Durood Sharif once or twice with that focus that you are sitting outside Roza Mubarak. In your heart, you read the Durood Sharif. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We do the attention again that we are here only for the pleasure of Allah, nothing else. Of course, you have been invited by somebody or a message, but now do the ultimate aim that we are here for the pleasure of Allah, and do dua in your heart. Allah, whatever is being said, what is beneficial for me, allow me to understand it, and then with body and mind practice that, put into action. And you can see the purpose of today's program, the journey of human being, purpose of our existence, how to achieve this purpose. These are the three things which most people need to ponder on. Whether we ponder on or we don't, that's a different matter, but this is the truly we need to understand this. And one of the way to understand is the story, our whole story. And this is the people often don't understand this, what is our whole story. But I'm going to begin today because this is going to be a series of lectures, inshallah, over a few weeks. So I'm going to begin somewhere where I normally don't begin, and you'll see why. Inshallah, because what we don't understand, we understand this, that we live in this world which we can see, we can feel, the materials we can see and we feel. And around us, the country we live or the continent we live in is Europe. And America and Canada, they're advanced in technology, medicine, anything you name it, they invent it. So we live in those countries where education is right at the top. And the invention is right at the top. Technology is right at the top. All to that effect that they go into the space. So I'm going to want you to look at this from that point of view today, inshallah. The law of nature. We know the people in Europe, by and large, what they are saying, majority of them are they saying they don't believe in God. So we know from this fact that just learning about the worldly knowledge is front of eyes, what has he produced. Even going to the moon, going beyond, and their probes going beyond, understanding the universe in some way. But what this happening every day more and more, that they are saying we don't believe in God. So the worldly knowledge is. Now I want you to look at this screen and look at this interplay of physical and chemical forces. There's a dialogue between two people, ordinary person, a Muslim, and a scientist. What does he say? What is this thing we refer to the law of nature? Because those people who don't believe in God, what they normally say is a law of nature. It's a law of nature. What is a law of nature? So briefly understanding about this. And the scientist says, what does he say? It is, I'm difficulty reading there, but just bear with me for a minute. It is a blind interplay of physical and chemical force. And what does this chemical force is? Now you need to listen to this carefully. I don't know if the sister is going to be hear this, but this is important that you do listen to this. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Okay. Sound system is not working, but let's look at this picture. We see this, that even though we're here, we can see the daylight, but most people should know that this is our earth is a star you can see round it is a planet. But it's a very small planet. That will come clear to you, inshallah. Now look at this picture of here. Earth looks bigger. And what I want you to see is, continue looking at what does the earth look like now. Earth is very small and it's going to get smaller. Now where is in comparison to sun, the earth is very, very small. Now this is interplay of physical and chemical forces. I'm trying to mention that to you. Remember this. Now look at the sun. Our sun is very small comparison to the other sun. Now look at this here, and you won't even hardly see this. You see this universe, earth. Now look at this picture here. Look at this point. It was taken by the probe which traveled close to the ring of Saturn. And look at this, here is mentioned that this now if somebody's got a better eyesight than me, could you read some from there? Go on, Majid, if you can.
We all fit inside this little viewpoint, all of our global conflicts and wars, all of our problems, all of our greatness and frailties, all of our technologies, arts, creations, all of our civilizations, all of animals and plants, all of our races and religions, all of our nations, countries and their governments, all of our loved ones and hated ones, total more than 6 billion souls trying to survive from one day to another.
So we are on this speck of dust. This is how we are. This is how insignificant this earth is. But we are very proud of ourselves, and those who are striving to become businessmen and the scholars and the entrepreneurs, everybody in the corner shop and the businesses and the school and the teachers, everybody's here. Now if you look at this, yes, there is someone knows how many hairs are on your head, who dies and who lives. There is someone who knows this. But the modern man and the modern woman today, they say there is no one. We are in an age where people gradually, increasingly do not believe in faith. Now, one thing is, we are Muslim, we have a faith, but we are also traveling on that path where our understanding of the deen and knowledge is limited or is being reduced. The point we need to understand is this: there is someone who's there. And with him, let me see. And with him are the keys, none knows them except, and he knows what is on it in the sea. Not a leaf drops.
You're missing a part.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's it.
Should I read it out?
Yeah, no, I need to read it on the mic, so just bear with me for a minute. And with him are the keys of the unseen, none knows them except him, and he knows what is on the land and he in the sea. Not a leaf falls but that he knows it, and no grain is there within the darkness of the earth, and no moist or dry thing but that it is written in a clear recorded. Now this is what Quran is saying. But gradually what the point is that people do not believe this. More increasingly people do not. And the Muslims don't read the Quran to understand. Many Muslims don't touch the Quran or read regularly. Those who read, vast majority of them do not read to understand. They read for swab. So now look at this again. Funny how many deny existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and does not see the universe. Did it come to pass without a creator? Now this is what the modern man, he does not recognize that there is a creator. So thus we live in this universe, and we are gradually living in this country and continent where the technology is advancing. And that's where my children and your children, our grandchildren and the children to come are going to grow here and live here. So soon as we realize that we need to really understand the Quran, we need to read the Quran to understand. Now how are we going to understand the Quran and the universe if we don't read it? Nazara Quran, most of you went to Masjid and Madrasa to read Quran from the beginning. So you read the Quran. Now most people are not reading the Quran. You didn't understand the Quran when you went to Masjid or Madrasa. Very few people understood. There isn't an opportunity for ulamas, ustads to really explain. My child and your child goes for an hour or 2 hours to masjid. What is he doing? He is learning to read the Quran. When he comes home or she comes home, you'll ask yourself, if you have children, how many times me and you sit with them and help them to understand the Quran or read with them. So this is what happened to my generation, that our fathers and mothers were busy. Now you are the fathers and mothers of the children, and you by and large have been exposed to less of a knowledge. So if you are doing the same, not sitting with children, learning the Quran or helping them to learn and opening the Quran yourself, don't understand that, and then what's going to happen? We are living again, we need to understand, we are living in a modern world where the most successful people, most successful and most powerful people, the governments, etc., they are beginning to say there is no God. So my children and your children are living in that environment. So what's going to happen to them? They are bombarded this 24 hours a day, school and everywhere. So me and you take the child to the masjid for 1 hour, come home, he or she doesn't look at the Quran, you and your wife doesn't have a time to sit down with them. What knowledge are they going to gain? Indeed, the creation of the heavens and the earth is greater than the creation of mankind, but most of mankind do not realize it. So there you are. So the creation is greater than mankind. And once if this video plays, inshallah, because this should work. Just let me go back. Let me go back. I'm now one to give up.
This is Earth. You live here on this planet somewhere, and everything that you've ever known is located right here. But just how small exactly is Earth when compared to the scale of the entire universe? Let's thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and every forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and every peasant, every young couple in love, every hopeful child, every mother.
Can you hear this? Okay.
And every father, every inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Voyager 1 is currently traveling at 17 kilometers every single second, but even at that speed, it won't break out of the reach of our solar system for another 30,000 years.
So this is our solar system. 30,000 years. It will not move out. And now, pay attention, you're going to hear more. This is the scientists, the brightest scientists in Europe who are mapping this out, and the knowledge of theirs is increased.
Once we go beyond the solar system, we arrive in our interstellar neighborhood. Here we shift to the light year unit of measurement, which is the distance that light travels in a full Earth year, or about 9.461 trillion kilometers.
Just to tell you what the light of speed of light is, the sun, the light from the sun emanates and reaches the Earth. It takes 8 minutes. Per 1 second distance traveled is 186,000 miles. And now the light year, you've seen the word light years. Now you're talking about that's a 1 second distance. 186,000 plus miles per second. Now these light years, and you will see how big this universe and the planets are.
The star Proxima Centauri here is the closest other star to us other than our sun, but it's still 4.24 light years away from us. To put that into perspective, if it was heading in the right direction, it would still take Voyager 1 over 70,000 years to reach it. In other words, if you drove your car at 100 kilometers an hour like in our previous example to the moon, it would take over 6 times longer than the entire age of the universe is just to finally get there, and it wouldn't even exist still when you arrived. When we zoom out even further, we can see the entire Milky Way galaxy, inside of which Earth is located right here. This yellow dot is the furthest extent of humanity's radio broadcasts throughout history, which means that any possible aliens who live outside of this range are totally unaware of humanity's presence. It's complete silence outside of this yellow dot as far as we are currently aware, but the entire galaxy spans over 100,000 light years from end to end. There are over 100 billion stars and over 100 billion planets inside of our galaxy.
So this is just our galaxy. The mind boggles how big it is. It's just 1 hour galaxy. Now watch.
But you have never seen the full glory of the galaxy at night, because 99% of the stars that you can see with the naked eye are limited to this small, tiny region right.
Now, when I looked at this and I was started wondering, if I'm looking from this, so I thought it might be from this side. And if somebody else goes around the Earth on the other side, he might see more stars. What it is, the 24,000 mile is the circle around the Earth. So wherever you look from the Earth, you will only see that much stars which are there in the heaven, but human being on this Earth cannot see more than what that is mentioning there. So all round it.
Here. But even this massive galaxy is nothing compared to the rest of what's out there. Zooming out even further and we arrive at the local group of galaxies, a collection of 54 different galaxies that is about 10 million light years across. But zooming out even further and we can see the Virgo supercluster, of which the local group here is just a tiny segment of. There are at least 100 other groups of galaxies just like our own local group inside of here, and the distance from one side to the other is a mind-numbing 110 million light years.
When I looked at this and I pondered, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said He's made the Jannah for everyone. And when light years, and this earth, the porous Janti has a Jannah 10 times bigger than the earth. Now, when you look at this, trillions of years, light years, how big the universe, and this universe, what the scientists see, is the first heaven. What they're seeing is the first heaven. And you'll come to see they even haven't got there yet.
But even the massive Virgo supercluster is nothing but a quiet and tiny lobe of the great Laniakea supercluster, an enormous structure that is home to our galaxy as well as 100,000 other galaxies. The distance from one side to the other is 520 million light years, but from even there we can zoom out all the way to the entire observable universe and see that even the titanic Laniakea supercluster is just a tiny and insignificant part of everything. This is the observable universe, and it contains everything that we know of. It is home to at least 2 trillion different and individual galaxies.
So now, these are the galaxies which we are one.
Together contain more stars than there are grains of sand on the entire Earth. The distance from Earth to any side of the observable universe is 46.5 billion light years.
Now, it increased my iman when I looked at this. How? Because when I looked at the Jannah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions there, that the one Jannah is so big, it's unbelievable. I can't put years to it. The person's shoulder, and from one shoulder to another distance is mind-boggling. So Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, what I'm trying to say to you and to myself, that if you don't ponder, if you don't give time, you will not think about these things. And explaining religion to the children, the parents first of all have to think. And the Quran says, one of the surah or ayats Nabi read every day, Surah Al-Imran's ayats. And where is one of the things which he said there, that the wise are those who ponder sitting down, lying down, standing up, walking. Now me and you need to think that do we ponder, do we think? One person I was sitting with and I said to them, they said, we get fed up if we sit on our own. True. Most people, you ask yourself, if you're doing nothing, you're sitting home, doing nothing, would you be able to sit for long? You'll use, why? Because we have loved everything what we do, we can't sit on our own and ponder on our creation.
Which means that the entire width is 93 billion light years across. What's perhaps even more interesting, however, is what actually lies beyond the observable universe. Keep in mind that the observable universe is all that we can currently see, and it's entirely is Earth. You live here on this planet somewhere, and everything that you've ever known is located right here. But just how small exactly is Earth when compared to the scale of the entire universe? Individual galaxies, which together contain more stars than there are amount of time reach Earth. meaning that even if humanity is eternal and exists forever, there will still be an unknown number of places in the universe that we will never know about or ever see. So, it is very likely that as unbelievably enormous as it seems, the observable universe is just a tiny slice of what we can currently see of the entire universe. According to the theory of cosmic inflation that was proposed by Dr. Alan Guth, if it is assumed that cosmic inflation began at 10 to the negative 37th of a second after the Big Bang, and with the assumption that the size of the universe before inflation began was equal to its age times the speed of light, then this would seem to suggest that at the present day, the entire universe is 150 sextillion times larger than the observable universe. That number for reference looks like this, with this many zeros. Let this number sink in for just a moment. This would be similar to you thinking that the entire observable universe, everything that you could see, was the size of a light bulb, but then realizing that in reality the entire universe is larger than the former planet of Pluto. Imagine a light bulb in the center of Pluto, but we inside the light bulb were totally unaware that Pluto existed outside of it, and that's a similar situation to this. We are all so unbelievably small, but you shouldn't worry, because all that means is that there is so much left out there for us to discover together. This video was made possible by Squarespace.
Now I just want you to ponder, because you live in Europe and this technology age, that is available in Pakistan everywhere. Now if me and you, because we're here, we are listening to this and I'm speaking, so we better talk ourselves to ourselves, is to say, if we don't change to understand this, then our children will not gain the religious knowledge which they need to survive in this world. What do I mean survive? Survive means that with Iman. So with the Iman, if we want to survive, we can work for our children, we can build the businesses up, but if we don't give them that knowledge and that understanding, then we depart from this world, what will happen to them? What is happening to the people who build the churches? So this is what I'm suggesting, that we need to understand this. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Now what this man says? But how is it that these blind forces always operate in the same one specific direction, producing the same result? That means that all those galaxies you saw, why don't they move or come near each other? Nearest hour is the moon. So why doesn't the moon come any more nearer? Why doesn't the sun? They say gravity. So who's made the gravity? Why does he behave in the same way? So the question the lay person is asking, that how is it that they play the role, but they don't move one hair breadth this way or that way? So because we don't ponder, that we will not think. I met a solicitor, English solicitor, and talked to him about this. And he said, you know, I used to go to church when I was a young boy. But he said, many years ago we stopped going. He said, I don't think about God now. And I don't believe in a God. Now that's a very highly educated, well-mannered person. But he has forgotten. He said, I never ponder. So this is what is being said. Now, what does he say? What do the scientists say? Science says we don't know why it occurs. We only know it occurs. So the science is saying that we don't know why it occurs, but we know it occurs. So that is the some force which we believe as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ordered that thing to do, nothing else. That speck of dust, has got sun is set there, and the sun comes. The day follows the night. The water is put by somebody's put the water here, which produces the cloud, the rain, and everything. Now we need to ponder and tell our young boys and girls and children, and first of all ourselves as well, and to ponder. Otherwise, we will lose this knowledge. What the scientist doesn't know is this. Alhamdulillah. Now I'm going back to this basic. What is basic Islamic knowledge? I say to people wherever I sit and say people are not learning the further knowledge. So what is the word we're using? Basic Islamic knowledge, which is compulsory. Now all of these people here sitting down now need to look inward and say, have we started learning the basic knowledge? If the answer is no, it's not a disaster, because the world, the angel of death hasn't come yet. So we, alhamdulillah, we can start. But we must start. What is the basic knowledge which all of us, when we went to the masjid, they taught us this. Now what is it? 7 beliefs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, books, angels, and day of judgment, taqdeer, and etc. So what is it? We need to understand this. What does he mean for me? So if we don't understand this, we learn this, but when was the last time I pondered over it? What do the angels do for me? So we need to understand, and we need to teach our children. Angels have a duty, and once you know what the angels do to protect me and you and to keep me alive, we start appreciating them. That's the basic knowledge, life after death. Now this is the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the bottom bit which he says there, this is very important. I accepted all his instructions while saying it loudly and believing from heart. Now after that, how do we ponder every day or every other day or every week with this, what we're saying here? But this is the most important thing. Am I believing, bringing my behavior and dealing in line with those my beliefs? Otherwise, that my belief is weak. So this is basic religious knowledge. Now, what does basic Islamic law is? The compulsory knowledge, which I need to understand. To bring this into this, I need to know. But just knowing zakat is there, namaz is there, hajj is there, fasting is there, that doesn't bring the iman to a higher level. I need to know what he makes. It doesn't earn me any good deed. In fact, it takes me to hellfire. Now because we are busy, we are saying, I haven't got time. I've got business to run. I've got children to take to school. Well, that's why me and you are promised to Jannah. Allah has made the Jannah for us, each one of us. Because we have to go through this. The Jannat is not for all the other creation you see, because they're not being tested. Me and you have to work, have to get married, have children, do the parents and falling out with sisters and brothers and all the town community and the opportunity to do sins and etc. That opportunity we have to go through. That's why the Jannah is for me and you. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the magic pen, which is Tawbah. But if I don't start learning this, what chances are that my good deeds will be protected or I earn good deeds? Do you know that if you read the Zair Zabar wrong way, how big a sin it is of the Quran? And how, if you read it wrong in namaz, is the namaz valid or not? because we don't sit and learn about the salah, what salah is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained that this kind of salah you need to read so that is accepted. Now if I'm reading namaz, for example, or most of you reading namaz, and if we don't find this out, what will happen? That I'm thinking I'm coming 5 times a masjid to read namaz, or when I get a time I read home, but I come to the masjid when I can. So I don't learn these. What nullifies my namaz? What namaz is accepted? Now if I don't sit with the ulama, practicing ulama, what chance have I got learning? So this is the basic knowledge which I've said. These are the pillars of Islam. So what do you need to do? Now this is the basic knowledge which I'm talking about. Not becoming Hafiz Quran, not becoming a scholar. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying go to the madrasa for 7 years to learn, become a scholar. What I'm saying, me and you have to learn this. What is accepted? You work for the employer. You have to, you know what they demand for you. You have to fulfill that. So this is what it is, that me and you have not been created by anybody else. We have been created specially, chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to create. It wasn't an accident me and you were born. And it won't be an accident when me and you will travel from this world. So now I'm going to go back to because there is a series of lectures, but I want to show you something which is important here. And this is, we learn that we're spending time somewhere, but now I want you to ponder this. Education and time and expenses. School, what are we spending on? So how many years my child and your child go to school? What expenses we doing? Homework, everything like that. So we are doing this. Now think about this. This is a cycle. Work time and time spent daily working. We need to learn and think about how much time we're spending on there. Family, husband, wife, children, parents, brothers and sisters. How much time we're spending with them? Physical body, time and effort to meet its needs. When you analyze yourself, if you did this exercise at home, whatever you are doing mostly is doing to fulfill the desire of the body. And desire of the body fulfilled with the right way and the right amount earns you reward. Go to work with the right mind, right set, and then it's a ibadah. Religious time spent learning the further knowledge, money spent requiring that knowledge. Now you need to think about, when you compare all these things, you need to think how much time am I spending learning this. Now you are the judge of this. Paradise, time and money spent on studying, understanding paradise. Now if you're not going to learn about paradise, you definitely, most people are not going to fall in love with paradise. Hellfire, time and money spent on studying, understanding. Now if you spend time proportionally on this, you will love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because what He's got for you. Now I want to quickly mention something so that we know. These are 7 bodily organs Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given each one of us who is sitting here. Now we use them. They've been given a gift to us. We use them the way we want. And Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, and the Quran told us what are the sins and what we must not do. If we do these sins, the chances of repenting are available till we are alive in this world. Now if we don't repent and our tawbah is not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will take these bad deeds, and Nabi Sallam told us they will turn into punishment. These sins which we do, if we don't repent, we will take them with us, and they will themselves turn into a punishment. So now there's a way to do this. For example, Nabi Sallam told us that if a person born and is a pure, alhamdulillah, and if he commits, is an adult now, 13, 14, and he or she commits a one sin, the black dot comes on the heart. That's the spiritual, not the heart which pumps the blood. Now I'm going to show you practically what to do if you want to go in the line of learning religion and practicing that. The heart gradually becomes dark. You will know how much time you're spending learning and purifying the heart, or the sins, or the ghafla. Now you may not do, say, go and watch inappropriate film, but if you are missing your prayer regularly, or one of the hadiths is, if you intentionally miss one prayer, you near a kufr. This is how serious, because first account is going to be held is about the salah. The salah, if we don't understand what nullifies the salah, what salah is accepted, just imagine that we go from this world not knowing this, and we go on the day of judgment, and the first account is held about the namaz. And if the namaz is not satisfactory, what other is going to be satisfactory? So the chance for me and you is here. We repent sincerely and we come and learn this. You go to any masjid if you want, but if those who you want to hear, there's a Qari Sahib here who teaches this. So this is the practically now I'm showing you. Now you decide to say, I am going to, inshallah, try to get my tongue according to the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What is that? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if you give me a guarantee to is ummati, any ummati, any era, he said, if you guarantee me that you will not use the tongue badly and your private parts, then I will guarantee you a Jannah. Now these two things, one of the things we start with is the tongue, because the biggest sin, the most sins are done with the tongue. And if you decide to say, I'm going to do this, you put the date here, for example, let me show you. See here, can you see that? You say, put the date here. You say you want to start tomorrow. You put the date here and you decide, I'm not going to do any of these sins. Alhamdulillah, I do repent. And then tomorrow night, you look at it before you sleep. You put a tick, Alhamdulillah, I haven't done any sin. Then you go on ticking, and then one day you made a mistake, deliberate mistake, 10th day, you put a cross and do tawbah. Now you put the violated rule there, 10, that you violated the rule. Swearing, for example. Any of these sins you can't do deliberately and put a tick. So it's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're not just saying giving you this information, we are saying to you that brothers and sisters, you need to adopt this, you can practice this. So start the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can do it immediately. Do tawbah and start this. Then next day when you did a cross, you do tawbah, ask Allah forgiveness, and you start the next day. Put the date there again, here, and then you start here. Leave that empty line. You know what you did wrong, but then you made another mistake, and this mistake isn't a mistake, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, if you sincerely repented, I have forgiven you that sin and I've given you reward. So this is not a lost situation. Then you do this next line, you put the date on and you carry on there. Alhamdulillah, look. Then if you continue this, one of the biggest sin the pipe, the 7 bodily organs which produce the big sins, is the tongue. Now you go through that, all the sheets then. Alhamdulillah, eyes, Sister, you mention, and then you go through that, and gradually you turn into all, your heart is pure. So that's the way to do it. Now we'll hold there, we'll stop there, and inshallah ta'ala, if you, those of you want to ask more questions of this, or you want to take this, you can do that. Now they will, inshallah ta'ala, will stop here.